Hi, I'm Neil from Neil Wallace Music, and I'm pretty excited to be able to show you tonight something that I've been playing with for 30 years. It's a system for managing secondhand book sales at schools. It's essentially a committee, usually volunteers at the school, will take on consignment textbooks from families, on-sell them to incoming students who need cheaper textbooks, and then pass off the money that was raised, the proceeds of that sale, back to the parent, minus the school commission, of course. So it's a great fundraiser for the school and a really valuable service for parents. But it can get very, very messy because every single item in the sale has to be accounted for. You have to know whether it's sold or not, who owns it, which family gets the money, how do we notify them. So 30 years ago, I wrote a system in FileMaker Pro that managed that okay. But in 2026, it's time to make this a web app, a little bit more modern, and allow it to not only print notices for collection and family proceeds and business manager statements, but to also allow letters out to students and families be emailed, which will save schools a lot of effort. Anyway, I would like to show you this system in action because it does a lot of things. So to begin with, don't be scared, but like anything like this, we're going to need barcodes. It doesn't matter whether we use good old code 128 type barcodes. Let me get this up here. There we go. Not very good focus, am I? Or we can use, this one's got 84 per sheet, little data matrix codes, just like you get at the supermarket. And finally, good old-fashioned QR code also works. This one is QR codes, and they perform system functions. Save your typing, you can scan one of these instead. So we've got the codes to identify the student, codes to identify every single individual item in the sale, and codes to save you some typing. And don't forget, the books will often have a barcode as well, and we put that to use as well. I might have 50 copies of this book. Each one will have a different individual ID code, but these will be the same on all of them. And you'll see how that helps with data entry in a moment. So let's have a little bit of a look at the computer screen at this point. I can probably make that a little bit bigger for you. Here we go. So, come on. There we go. I'm going to sign in here. You can get to this demo site with the URL booksaledemo, BOOKSALEDEMO, booksaledemo.neilwallace.com.au. That'll get you to this page. All the passwords you use for demonstration are given to you, and I'll just sign in with my details already. That will take you straight to the help screen, which is pretty important, and it tells you everything you need to know and do. In addition, on our blog page here, I have one with screenshots, but I'm not going to go there right now. It opens up on help for a reason. That was the scanner. Be quiet. Because I'd like people to read that. When it's not a demo site, there's another layer of access, which I call the outer website password, that schools will need to know as well. Okay, so once we're in, I'm going to show you the dashboard. The dashboard right now is showing that I've had one sale event. If I run another sale next year, I'll have 2. If I run another sale the year after that, I'll have 3. I've got 441 students entered. Some of these are siblings, so a total of 260 families, because some of these students have the same family details. Some items have been entered, some stuff's for sale. I've entered $636 worth of stuff. Pre-packs are just a way of putting together bundles for people to collect on sale night without having to collect every item individually. And I've sold 19 of the items that I entered, which was 25, which means I've sold 3/4 of my stock, which is great. Total sales 475, school commission. In our case, we made it 25%, but that gets set up by the administrators in this dashboard page. Anyway, you set the logo, you set the school's name, You set the amount of commission you want. You set the amount of reduction that will be applied to the price of an item if it's damaged, say. You tick the damaged box. A close-off date, because if you don't have one, these things just seem to go on forever. So close-off date when, no, that's it, everything's final. Organisers will show that text at the bottom of notices to parents and notices to students. You get to pick your barcode format, data matrix, QR, or code 128. Just look at what scanners you have at the school, what your preferred workflow is. You'll get to print those out. Moving on down, here is where you produce your own barcodes. So the book sale function codes gives this one, where you can beep those instead of using the keyboard. The item ID label production is this one. And here I've used data matrix codes, and they are the same as you get in the supermarket. And then you can print your student sticker codes, which look like this. You also have used different barcode formats, but that's fine. This scanner reads all of them. This scanner is a T-Core IS5700DB scanner. It works on Bluetooth, or you can use a cable. I recommend using a cable, but I'll use Bluetooth for this demo. And yeah, it'll scan anything and do the job just fine for both the normal barcodes and the two-dimensional ones. All right, let's have a look now at starting a brand new sale. So I'm going to go in and restore a backup that I took earlier, which is this one. Restore. When you restore a backup, it logs you out. And when you go back in, you will find all of the new stuff. So in this case, I've got 2 students entered, 5 items entered for sale, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to strip this back all the way to nothing and show you the entire process. So I'm going to clear my entered items. And now they're all gone, and we can see I've got nothing entered, nothing for sale, nothing. I do have my students and families in there, and I used those to make these sheets. So you can make your own sheets. Let's look at how things might work. I'm going to start on pre-sale. And in pre-sale, might make that just a little bit bigger. There we go. Down here behind where you can see my hands is the entry run, but I might actually just switch views so that you get to see, let's see. This computer's running really slowly. That's the problem. I'm just being a little bit too impatient. There we go. Now, you can see the screen a little bit, but you'll see my hands as well. So what's going on here is students will very kindly bring in some books. So I've grabbed a little bundle here. Let's say little Jamie or Johnny has brought in these books to be sold for next year. First thing you want to do is make sure you're not accepting any books that are not available for next year. So you will have a sheet that you've drawn up at your school. It'll have the available books that are going to be reused next year listed here, and Johnny will tick on the books that are in his bundle he's bringing in for sale. What I do is stick one of the 30 Up student code stickers on there. This one's Evangeline. And check that everything's just so, and then this bit of paper will become pretty much the only paper trail we have, because the rest is going to be in the system. So I'll put that to the side for a moment, just over here. Very sophisticated stuff. And start looking at registering an item. So that's where this one comes in handy. These top 2 are for entering new students of stuff, and this one you have to beep after every book you enter, or you can press enter on the keyboard. It really doesn't matter. But this takes the place of that. So let's deal with Evangeline. Over here to Evangeline's student code. I'm in the student code field, so that brings up Evangeline here. Instantly, I'm ready to start entering books for Evangeline. So let's see what we've got. Bastian Piano Basics. What I've done is take one of these codes and stuck them on every book. So all of these have their own unique individual ID. And because I know in my sale I will have multiple copies of these, I can utilise those codes during data entry, which is what we're going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is scan the unique ID sticker on the front. This will automatically jump over here. I might again make it just a little bit bigger so you can see better. Now we scan the code on the back and you can see that it fills in with all of those details. And if I'm happy with everything I see, I don't want to make any notes, or I don't want to reduce the price. You'll see the price changes here if you tick that it's damaged. I really should get rid of this. There we go. I'll say this one's undamaged. It's really a case of two things, and then either press enter or beep that the item's ready to be entered. It'll come up and tell me that it's done. So let's do that for all of these books. Stays on Evangeline, so I'm doing Evangeline's bundle. Looks okay to me. What's this one? Boogie for Beginners. Yeah, that all looks good, not damaged. Beep it in. Now, this theory book's a bit of a special case. It's got a unique ID like everything does, but it doesn't have a barcode for me to scan on the back. So I've invented one when this item was originally put in. I gave it a code of BTL1. And I gave it an alternate code that matched this sticker. So if I scan that one again, it should find it. Well, not from this backup that I've just done, it can't. So BTL1 will find that book. And it's in. Because I pressed enter, it's the same as clicking this button. All right, so clicking this button, pressing enter, or zapping this code, all do exactly the same thing. Finally, Evangeline's been very nice and given us a book about retirement, so let's scan that in. Code, back, it's the retirement book. Yes, that's good. In. And that's it for Evangeline. So these books can now all go out onto the tables ready to be sold. Let's just quickly do the others at a more worky speed so that you can see how quick it really can be. This bundle's come in from Noah Alexander. So I will change the screen now so that you can see more. It's a bit slow to do video, this computer, I'm afraid. That's not going to let you see what I'm scanning. Let's try this one. All right, there we go. So you can see my hands down here and see the computer a little bit better. So I'm going to beep my next student in. Beep. And it would help if I was actually here on what I need to be on. So, beep, I've put Noah's barcode here so I don't have to type it. Noah is now in, and now I've just got to do Noah's items that have all been previously tagged with their little unique IDs. So, scan, looks good, enter. Scan. Didn't find that one. I don't know why. I've just restored an old database. Damn, I might have to do this again. I'll leave that out. Let's do this one. Scan. That all looks good to me. And that's it for Noah. So Noah's sheet can go over in the goodies, and we'll grab our last set of books. This is from Joshua. So I go, new student, scan his code, put it aside. He likes Dr. Seuss, this kid. Green eggs and ham. Code, looks all right, enter. Code, looks all right, enter. Evan Borax, yay. Finally. So you can see there are 3 beeps to get it registered, and then we're all done. So at this point, I think we'll have a look at what happens on sale day. So let's go back to our menu and look at how we can actually sell these. Pre-packs is for another video. That's when you want to bundle up a bunch of stuff ready for somebody to collect a bundle of things that they want, rather than them picking one at a time on a busy sale night. So let's go to sale day and see how we're actually going to process these sold books. So right here, I have my bundle of sold books. Sorry, my bundle of inventory books that kids have brought to me. I've got to make sure that any kid whose book I sell gets their payback later, and we'll see that in reporting. But equally make sure that any kid that's book didn't sell gets to go and collect it. And they'll collect the version of their book that has this number. Because there might be 20 maths books left, they've got to pick up their maths book, not some other kid's maths book. All right, let's look at processing the sale day. Again, I'll make this just a little bit bigger for you to see, like that. And we are ready to go. So, somebody's coming, it's very busy. I'm presented with a bundle of books. I'll make it that I've got 3 customers. So I'll just split these books up into 3 little bundles. So here we go. There's my first bundle here. So these got brought into me for sale. I'm going to now use these 2. For data entry, I use those. For selling, I use these. And that last one is just to find items that you want to find. So I'm going to start a new sale. Now I can continuously just scan the tops of all these books. That's it. You see they've all come up and they're all listed here. If I've made a mistake, I can remove it, which is kind of handy. I've scanned 3 items, that's the total, but it's not finalised yet until I click Process Basket or press Enter. I'm going to click Process Basket. Just keep it scanner first. Now it has a transaction number, so I can say to the person buying it, you've got transaction number 1, it's 3 items for $39.80. Okay? And that person, we can write that on a post-it. They can take it down to a payment desk, or the person next to me taking the payment, and we'll take it from there. Let's sell the rest of them. Well, I won't sell these last, but I'll sell this little bundle here. Start new sale. Just beep. You're just beeping every book's front tag. There we go. They've all been beeped. You can see they're listed here. I haven't finished it, so that's not done. I can pause and resume if I need to interrupt to go and ask questions of somebody. Okay. And finally, I'm going to process the basket. I can either click the Process Basket button or press Enter. I'll use the code. So that's all now being marked as sold. These we entered into the sale, but we're going to leave them unsold for now so you can see how the reporting works. Alrighty, so these have to go back to a storage space for kids to come and pick up. These have all walked out the door on sale night. So now that your sale has been done, I should show you the take payments one. What will happen there, this is where you can print receipts and process returns. So remember I gave you a transaction number 1. So I'll type 1, press Enter, and there is transaction number 1. Not fitting very well, I'll deal with that, but for now, that's how it is. If anything needs to be returned, this is the screen you tick and return it. Process it, say why. And then an administrator on the dashboard has to release them back into stock. But anyone who can use this screen can do that. So those were sold. I'm going to say this person paid by card. I'll save the payment method. I'm going to say this person is Big Jim. And I'm going to print Big Jim a receipt because he wants one. This is basically what's going to be in it. I can either save it as a PDF or just print. I'll just hit print and see what happens. And this is what will print out for Big Jim. Pretty much what you saw on screen with Big Jim's name up the top here. So you can print that, take it away, but in my experience, people haven't tended to want receipts. The people buying it, people bringing stuff in do want to know what's going on though. Back to payments, and that's done. Let's look at number 2. Search. There's transaction 2, $66. It'll be paid by cash, this one. I don't want their name on the receipt, so I'll just print that receipt. Looks good to me. Print and give them their receipt. I'm not using little things that people do, and I'm not taking payments with this system. That's going to be done by the school with their own point of sale terminals. So that will be the receipt for our second customer. All right, so sale day is over. All these books have walked out the door. See if I can get it back to you. All these books have walked out the door. And these books are still unsold. So I've got to get these back to the kids who own them. And I've got to give the money for these ones to the families that need it. And of course, it's all tied into that unique individual item ID, which is an absolutely critical part of the whole process. So back to menu we go, and I'm going to look at reports. In this case, I've only got the one event. I want to see that we have $106 brought in on sales. Nothing's been returned, so our net is 106. Let's start by looking at the business manager's summary. This shows all of the families that need to be given money because of the sales we made, how much we collected from each family, how much the school's taking, and in my case I made it 25%, and I really need to give you a screen that you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. So this is the business manager's summary. If I print that out, you'll be able to see that the business manager will get page after page of individual families and what we need to pay them. If 2 of these were siblings, there'd be a subtotal for that family along here. Otherwise, it's alphabetical. Okay. So this is really good for reconciliation, accounting for the proceeds and adding it to the parent's account or sending them a check, whatever works for you. There are 2 other kinds of reports besides the business manager's report, though, that are important. The family sales statements, where in this case, this parent, the kid's in this family ID, for this kid needs money for these items. This is how much we collected. This is the school's commission. That's what we're going to pay them. Now, Renee is the parent for Noah. Noah sold these 2, and Vanessa sold these 2. You can print these out, and they'll go page by page, as you'll see here. I used this computer during lockdown. I really, really should replace it. So there's one for Cameron. You could print that and send it home. There's one for Renee for Noah's sales, and there's one. And you see you can print those out, mail them home, give them to students, or I'll go back to reports, you can email them. Now I've got email turned off pretty much on the main server for the demo, but that's how it is. So I can't preview it, I can't send that, but this is what the email will look like. And you can send it as HTML mail or as simple plain text. Dear parent, thank you, blah, 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 blah. These are the items that's sold. You can see it gives the ID, the amounts, and what's payable to the family. In this case, Josh was the only student in that family, so the total for the family is just a repetition of what was up here. But if this parent had multiple students, all associated with the same family ID, all of their statements would be in the one letter. You wouldn't be sending 3 letters or 3 emails. There's one for Renee and one for Vanessa. Okay. It's saying that Evangeline has been issued a separate notice to collect anything unsold because of everything they put in. These are the only 2 that sold. Maybe there are some left that Evangeline needs to collect. Let's have a look at that next. Back up the top. And in the reports, we're now going to look at the unsold collection notices. Well, let's look at a preview of the email notices. You can do that. It's very similar to the other one. Dear Evangeline, please come and collect these items. And if you've chosen HTML email, you'll get these nice lines at the bottom. This is a text placeholder. So if you're going to send text emails, you'll use this bit. If you're sending HTML, you'll take this bit out. This is just a placeholder in the dashboard where you get to set the text. Remember the organiser was Chaplaincy Committee? So it appears there. That has an organiser's placeholder in it. So mail notices, all of those really important things for accounting are taken care of. If you do want to mail them home, you can include the address for window envelopes. And now when you look at it, it's got a provision here for you to fold them up and post them. But I don't think many people will do that these days. So the address isn't really particularly critical unless you're going to post things to people. Just a word on the stuff that's in those notices, the text, that's all set at the dashboard here, where if I scroll down far enough, just below importing your own data, you get to see the collection notice side here. So you can choose whether to do a plain text or an HTML mail, type out what you want to appear, and you can use these placeholders, gives you a list up there. So in this case, dear, first name, following items didn't sell. There's why we saw the list of text items in the email. And without that, anytime you choose HTML, it will put all of the sold and unsold stuff at the bottom automatically. You don't need to use a placeholder. So that's where you set that text up. I'm not going to go into that admin thing much more. You can play with that in the demo. Auditing is something that's new that the old system didn't have. In this case, I want to find any login failures. So I'll grab my keyboard here and filter by login fail. And there are all my login failures. You can see them all listed there. What about anything to do with email? Choose emails, apply filters. Everything that happens on the system gets logged, recorded and audited, and you can look at it in here. So if you want to know who did what and when, this is the screen for you. Clear that. And it just, every logged event is just added to the top of this list. Now you can refresh the page and just see them come in and come in and come in as you're working. So these are the activities I showed you just a moment ago. That is pretty much it, although administrators get a couple of good things to do in this list area. All users get to see them. The student list for admins is a bit special. If I go to Evangeline and click her student code, I'm straight back at Evangeline's entry area. So if Evangeline comes in after I've processed her items into the sale and says, oh, hang on, I want my retirement book back. Can I have that back, please? It is possible for you to be able to return or take it out before sale. So the point I'm trying to get at there is that from the student list, clicking on a student ID takes you back in to see exactly what they've got entered in the sale. So that's really handy before the sale. Clicking on the student's name will bring up that student's details where you can edit it as an administrator. And if you click on the family ID, you get the student details plus the extra family details. Generally, you'll import this stuff in with spreadsheets that you've filled up from your student data system at the school. So those are 3 different editing things that can be done by admins in the student list, and the item list is where you can make changes to any of these sorts of things. So in my case, I had a theory book. So I'll type theory. It was this one. And I had to give it this item ID or whatever item ID. And you can have an optional scan code because not everything is a book with a barcode on the back. You might want to sell calculators. You might want to sell Mathemats. So you can, put CALC and calc can be the calculators. It's quite possible to do that. So there are 2 things that can look out for, the item ID or an optional scan code. If I go into that Bastion one, I could make that something different, and either of these will bring up that book that didn't have a barcode. So that's good for editing. But finally, in pre-sale, administrators can add new students and add new items as well, completely from scratch. So if something missed out in the import stage, you can do them one at a time after import. Find item is really purely for if you find a book lying around the place. I've got one here. Just beep its unique student ID. There we go, connected. And we'll be able to find out a bit about it. We can edit it or take it out of the thing altogether. If a kid comes back and says, oh, I want that back, we go and find their book, bung it in here and find edit item, and we can delete it from the sale and give it back to the student. So that's quite handy. Finally, I'm going to log out. Look, I hope that hasn't been too boring for you, and it probably will have been unless you have worked in a sale before and know the kinds of things you need to do. But I hope that demo gives you a bit of an overview and a bit of a start on how to use the reporting and the whole flow, from getting the items in the first place, getting them ready for entry to the system, very fast entry to the system. Sale day can work with pre-packaged bundles or individual things. You saw how quickly we processed those individual items. And really, that's probably all you need to know about for now. But I'm very interested in any feedback on improving this system. So if you play with the demo and you can think of suggestions to make it better, I really would appreciate it if you would let me know. So thanks for your time. And I look forward to hearing more from a few people about this system, and that lives on just for a few more years. 30 years has been good, but it'll be interesting to try it in a new way, where you don't need to buy the software to have at the school because it runs off the web, where you don't have to use a whole lot of middlemen. You manage the thing yourself. So thanks for watching.